Hello everyone, Santadoc2, welcome to another Modpack overview, this time on weaving new fiber possibilities. A modpack that simply loosely follows or is a fan sort of attempt at the FiberCraft sort of modpack. So, pretty much what it adds is just a bunch of mods that would appear on that sort of server play. And yeah, it's as close as possible. It's only using mods that are publicly available on Curseforge. There's no sort of sources from GitHub or anything from the actual ones in the real one. Only just anything that's publicly available to players. So yeah, it is pretty close to the real thing. But yeah, obviously some that aren't available or just can get them to work for whatever reason, so I had to sort of work around it. But yeah, pretty much a good amount of it has been sort of put together. So yeah, and if you can get them working, obviously that'd be obviously a much better approach than me struggling with it sometimes, just based on some that do want to work and some that just are very particular in some cases. But obviously it depends on the mods. So yeah, obviously just go through what's available. So typically you'd have a dawn here, but obviously you don't have it installed in this version of the pack. Otherwise you've got planet logistics compared to obviously furniture and all stuff it would have added. You've got obviously storage as well as crafting storage. You've got drives, you've got certain cabling to connect up stuff, you've got cells for actually storing your actual items and bits and pieces, you've got tools, you've got seeds to grow more of the crystals, and so on. You've got P2P tunnels, as well as planes for interacting with certain things, different versions of cables based on the channels you want to store or have connections to. Otherwise, we've got Industrial Revolution, which adds in additional tools, machines, and components, as well as upgrades. You've also got an armor set, a bunch of different fluids based on ores, or just a coolant that you use for heat sinks to reduce the heat in the machines. You've got furnaces, compressors, pulverizers, infusers of the solid and fluid variety, recyclers for making biomass, choppers for trees, ranchers for animals, miners for quarrying things, fishing farms, cabling, a bunch of other bits and pieces, drains, condensers, and so on. You've got Kybe for adding in a multitude of different possibilities, such as elevators. You've got a vacuum hopper, spikes, conveyors, redstone timer in a single block, chunk loader, XP drain and shower, fluid hopper, bigger torches, different rings that can do certain things such as lighting, water, breathing, fire resistance, and creative flight, magnets. You've got lassos for different animals, whether it be passive or hostile. You've got gliders, you've got an ender chest and ender tank, as well as bags and buckets. Food storage with a cooler. We've got, obviously, stuff for building, for adding building ones. You've got Astromine for adding in additional ores, as well as different materials. You've got asteroid ore. You've got tons of tools and other components, armor. You've got different blocks for sort of directing things accordingly, so splitting, incineration, or alternating. Conveyor belts for different speeds, as well as obviously different tiers. Catwalks, you've got energy and fluid cables. You've got obviously a bunch of different ores and bits and pieces there. I haven't reached the machines yet with those. We've got Tech Reborn, which adds in cabling, tons of different machines and generators, depending on what you're doing. So recycling, fabricating, using a sawmill on wood, converting resources into certain things in cells, different ores, different components. You've got rubber wood, you've got different tiers of power, so volt LV versus MV and HV. We've got our tools, we've got our cells with different bits and pieces in them. Upgrades. We've got TIS 3D for adding in pretty much some blocks as well as certain modules that you can use. I think there's a bit of programming in it, I can't remember. Or at least it's just of setting up the modules in a way. So there's an entire sort of thing for using the book to work out stuff. You've got blockers for additional building blocks. So you've got bluestone, you've got marble, you've got limestone, you've got different variations of other blocks that exist. You've got framed blocks, you've got different versions of terracotta and glass, as well as concrete. You've got shingles, you've got different brick versions of stuff. Expansions to bamboo, you've got blocks of certain resources, you've got paper versions, you've got coloured bricks, you've got different tiles, certain ones from references, and more. You've got expanded storage for adding an additional storage expansion, so obviously you've got different sized chests, or differently decorated ones. As you can set the following way you want it presented, so it's larger, easy to access, multiple pages, or just scroll bar. Trap expansion for adding in fans as well as spikes and slippery stone to prevent spiders. Going back to Astromine, we've got machines such as a smelter, furnace, we've got vent, bridge projector, tank for fluid storage I think. Pressing of plates, buffer, which is for, I think, just an inventory for items, not like a power buffer or anything. Extraction, insertion, warhead, and more. We've got CC tweaked for fabric, or restitched, which obviously is just FiberCraft, it's sort of for fabric, and probably a few other tweaks maybe. So you've got turtles, you've got computers, you've got pocket versions of them, you've got a modem. So you can have digging, melee, quarry, felling, noisy, and so on. We've got insulated wire from RS wires, making it easier to do redstone specific wiring. Lino hammers for adding in 3x3 like pickaxes, and excavators for obviously 3x3 like shovels with different materials, and different stats and stuff. Modern industrialization for adding in additional machines, some multi-block, as you can see there, as well as bronze and silver tiers. There isn't as much in other versions that I've seen, so you do have sort of the basics here, as well as like the main basis of the mod. So you've got piping, you've got a few machines, you've got mixing components, you've got tanks, you've got plates, double ingots, larger plates and rings and other components. We've got wolves with armor, so you've got different armor tiers for wolves to give them protection. You've got simple teleporters, obviously adding in the ability for you to just set up teleport points. We've got slot link for additional sort of storage possibilities. So pretty much if you just have a bunch of chests and then interconnect them, you can eventually have an import-export between them. We've got Flaming Hot for adding in additional fluids or blends that you can use to make fire-resistant blocks. We've got Colorful Cut, which adds in sort of an expansion to terracotta or concrete with slabs and stairs and walls. We've got Immerse for additional backpack storage. You've got a really small backpack here, or you've got, just go back to it, where is it? Much larger scale one. Got Heart of the Machine, which adds a dimension, as well as additional blocks and other bits and pieces. I don't know if there is some tech aspects in this, but for the most part it's just a dimension to the extent that I know of. And then obviously we've got the tech reborn fluids and other bits and pieces. And we've got Pachali for its access to certain books from certain mods. But yeah, that's pretty much for like the content. Obviously there's others like enlarging the advancement screen. You've got Apple Skin for the hunger bar and other such stuff. I got the split up version of Astromine instead of the complete one, just if people want to pick and choose what they want to use. Can I mine this block, so you can sort of tell exactly what more information about a block and its harvest level. So for example, like the cobble here, I can tell it's effective with a pickaxe and is harvestable. Some obviously, and that allow for other possibilities like mob briefing. You've got others that were added just to remove certain aspects that can obviously be annoying. So some mods not available. Gravestones, so obviously you take damage. Some to make mod packs work on Twitch launcher. Light overlays, you can use a key binding to see the exact sort of lighting conditions. And yeah, access to what's inside a shulker box and other things, I think. Stuff for tools, and yeah, finding out exactly the best level for ores and stuff. Or what drops, for example. So, yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and goodbye.